Hey everybody, this is Erica from In the Company of Cards. If you're new, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. So, just to remind you that if you're wondering how you landed here, if you're new, I read Lenormand to look at the issues of the day. Lenormand is a 36 card European divination system. So that's what I use here. I'm also the author of The Language of Lenormand, which is available, as they say, wherever books are sold. And I teach you the traditional way and also the riff on the traditional way of reading Lenormand. So if you'd like a friendly, hand-holding um, approach to how to read this system yourself, uh, get the book. Okay, so I hope you all enjoyed the Super Bowl last night, or at least the Super Bowl halftime show. I thought it was quite ironic that the team that lost is owned by a you-know-who lover, and that the team that won is not only owned by a woman, but a woman who is very forward-thinking in the causes that she supports. So that's great. Uh, I've heard all the controversy about the halftime show. I thought it was great. It reminded me of where I grew up, which was Harlem, most specifically Spanish Harlem. We call it El Barrio, which is very gentrified now, but a lot of those, um, a lot of the things that you could see last night in the halftime show are things that I'm familiar with seeing, the bodegas, the dominoes, all that stuff looked really familiar. And I thought it was great. Um, I know about Wes Moore being the only black governor not invited to whatever dinner that is that the felon is holding. I mean, I don't even think that's worth talking about. I am aware of the monkey meme thing as well, that Republicans were all up in arms about how racist it was until they, I don't know, rolled over and um, forgot about it and decided to talk about something else. So I don't feel like that's worth talking about either. He is just who he is, and he hates us. We're not fond of him. And so let's move on from that. I think that this will be a really interesting week. I know that the eclipse is coming up next week, the 17th. And so maybe at the end I'll look at the eclipse and how that will affect the felon. As you know, I am no astrologer, but I do know that eclipses are significant, and I know that they are particularly significant for people who are born under them. And the felon was, in fact, born under an eclipse. And you know, I'm just curious to see what the eclipse holds for him, but I'll look at that at the end. Uh, Today's news was the fact that, as I mentioned, Ghislaine Maxwell was set to testify um, for the House committee. She, as anticipated, took the fifth, which is what you say when, if you open your mouth and you say anything, uh, you run the risk of incriminating yourself. Now, here's the thing. She's already in jail, serving a 20-year sentence. There's no such thing as double jeopardy in this country, which means that she doesn't run the risk of being, you know, retried on her crimes. She's serving her time. She did not take the fifth when she spoke with Todd Blanche, which is interesting. And remember that speaking with Todd Blanche, during which conversation she already said that the felon was innocent, did nothing, was always a gentleman. And we know that she was rewarded by the cushy transfer. So this time she takes the fifth, and what's that all about? Well, we find out that what she actually did was, through her lawyer, take the fifth, but also say that she would be ready, willing, and happy to say everything she knows. Um, and among which facts would be the fact that the felon is blameless, because we all are going to believe that. All that's necessary is that she receive um, a commutation of her sentence, that she be let out of jail. Now, Comer, who's head of the committee and a Republican, was like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. We're not going to approve of that. We're not going to make that um, a condition of you testifying. So really, this was a message for the felon. And, there are a lot of people who could spill beans on the felon, Ghislaine being one of them. Uh, he loves when people say good things about him or that he did not commit crimes or whatever. So is that enough of an incentive for him to pardon her? I just want to know what what is he going to do with her? What is the felon going to do with Ghislaine, if anything? So that's the first question. What is the felon going to do? Is it in his interests to pardon her in return for her saying what she already said? She already said it, which was that he is innocent. So she already said that to Todd Blanche. And notice that that did not result in her being freed. It resulted in her getting, an easier place to do her time, but it didn't free her. So why would she think it would free he would free her now? But maybe he will. What is he thinking in regard to her? Let's look for him in the deck. We'll let him be the older man. Sorry about that, older man. But you will stand for the felon. And what I'm asking is, what is he? What are his intentions toward Ghislaine Maxwell? Okay, that's the felon. I mean, I've said before, that I think she's playing quite a dangerous game with him and with whoever else is out there that's involved in all of this. And as we know, there are considerable people involved. So anyway, what is he thinking about doing in terms of her? So we have the coffin, we have the mountain, we have the felon, the bouquet, and the tower. I'll tell you what, I feel like he thinks that he got as much out of her as he's going to get, which is what she told Todd Blanche. She said, I never saw him do anything with anybody about anything. So she was moved out of her very, very restrictive situation to a different prison. Now, The second card is the mountain. The mountain is a block, a delay. And I feel like he won't do anything yet. I think that the other card on the side, the other, he's in the middle, right? He's in the middle of these two cards. So I don't think he will make any move yet until he's on his way out. And at that point, I don't even think that he'll care. Um, but that's when he could be persuaded maybe to revisit the issue of giving her some sort of reward for her silence and her loyalty. But the fact that the final card is the tower makes me think that things have got, as I've said this before, things have gotten for her as good as they're going to get because I think she'll still remain incarcerated. I'll draw some clarifiers and see what we get here. Okay, so the coffin was our first card. And remember, she was in a very restrictive situation in Florida before she was moved to Texas. So the clarifiers here are the star, the house, and the clover. I just think that he took her from this restrictive situation and, gave her some hope for the future by creating a housing situation which was considerably more pleasant for her by moving her to the Texas facility. I think that she will stay in that Texas facility for the time being because the felon knows that the public who already doesn't like him would crucify him if he freed her. And he's a transactional guy, but she doesn't have anything really to offer that she didn't already give, which was the assurance to Todd Blanche that the felon knew nothing. So she knows a lot, but she's already said what she said. Anything she says now that would be the opposite will just make her look like a liar. So he's kind of got her where he wants her. And he knows that the public would crucify him if he were to do anything. So she's stuck where she is. We have the felon in the center. Clarifiers are the heart, the rider, and the scales. So I think that what he's thinking right now is, Ghislaine, love you, like you, wish you well. Because remember, he will say that when he's asked about her. Oh, I wish her well. So that's the message. Um, And then I think this is the card for patience. I think he wants her to be patient with the idea that, maybe he'll free her, but not yet. And if he were to free her, it wouldn't be until he's on his way out of office. You know, hopefully he doesn't get felled by something um, prior to that, but prior to him not having a chance, before he can have a chance to free her. But I think the message is just hold your horses, bide your time. Thank you for saying what you said, which was that I didn't do anything. Thank you for pleading the fifth. Now just sit there and be patient. That's the message. Fourth card is the bouquet, and the clarifiers are the child, the scythe, and the snake. Well, you know, something that I really don't like thinking about talking about, but it's a thing. Um, Allegedly, uh, children were not just abused, but, you know, like taken out. Uh, she could say something like, uh, well, she could say he knew about that. So I think she will continue to communicate to him that she has things that she could hold over his head. Things that one could argue are even more heinous than than SA, and that have to do with this, you know, the of children. So she still poses a problem for him. She could say something like, well, he didn't participate, but he knew about it. He didn't participate, but some of the children that were um, products of his essaying of some young girl. I mean, there's a lot of things she could say. So I think she's going to go from softball to hardball with him. She's playing a dangerous game. And then we have the towers, our fifth card. Clarifiers are the lily, the letter, and here's Maxwell. And I think that it will be recommended to her in no uncertain terms that she just stay in the nice cushy jail that she was newly assigned to, find her peace, however she does that. Um, Maybe I'll grant you clemency, maybe I won't, but don't threaten me. Because I think the message will be if you threaten me, you could end up where other people have ended up, if you know what I mean. So I think for the time being, even with this thing today having happened and she pleading the fifth and saying, I'm happy to tell what I know, I'm happy to come before the Congress and exonerate the president. Well, she kind of already tried to do that with Todd Blanche. She doesn't offer anything new. She could change her tune. That's the thing that she could do. She could say, um, well, actually, that's not true. And actually, the felon was involved on all these different levels, etc. But that's not going to get her out of jail because the Congress will not let her out of jail. And if she does that, the felon certainly is not going to let her out of jail. So I don't know. She's playing a very dangerous game, I think. And I don't think it will serve her in the end. And I have seen that before, but in light of her having gone before Congress and taken the fifth today, I thought it was worth looking at again. All right. On the same general topic, I don't know if you've seen that there's a photograph or there are a couple of photographs out, and they purport to be um, Jeffrey with long hair and a lot of facial hair, um, flanked by two, I don't know, bodyguard looking types in Israel. And so there is rampant speculation among a lot of people, including people who do this work, whose work I really respect. There is speculation that, in fact, he still is in the land of the living and that he's in Israel. So a viewer asked me whether I had looked at this, and I wrote back that I thought he was dead. But I also want to say this. Uh, you've heard the term PSYOP, psychological operation, and there are PSYOPs abounding in this whole scenario. And I just feel like it's very interesting if, let's say for the sake of argument, that he's alive. Isn't it interesting that he pops up now in the midst of all this, in Israel, no less? Like, if we're seeing what are purported to be pictures of him, it's because we're supposed to see those pictures. That's intentional. It's not by accident. Oops, we caught him. No, because why all of a sudden now? Uh, so I guess first question should just cut to the chase. I'm going to ask, where is he? Where is Jeffrey Epstein? And um, I think I will let Spirit um, pick all the cards. So where is he? So we have the coffin, we have the tree, we have the sun, we have the mountain, and we have the woman. And I want to say more than that. Like, let's say he's alive. I don't think he is, but let's say that he is. He's got all the money in the world, not to mention all of the support in the world from his handlers to have gotten plastic surgery. Why does he still look identifiable and all he's got is like longer hair and some facial hair? Come on. Come on. So where is he? I think he's dead. And I think he's been dead a long time. I mean, who did Michael Baden do that autopsy on if he's not dead? And I've seen the pictures, post-mortem pictures, where he doesn't look like a corpse. He looks, the coloring looks healthy. Um, he doesn't look that way. But um, there's a lot of strange things. But I'm telling you, this is my opinion. I may be right, I may be wrong. 50% either way for any of us who have an opinion on this. A coffin is a coffin. I think he's been dead in the grave since 2019. But it's very interesting that pictures have surfaced of what we are supposed to think is him. And then the mountain, of course, remember, is an obstacle. And then we have this woman at the end who could be Ghislaine. Let's pull some clarifiers. Okay, so yeah, this is the coffin, and the clarifiers are the ring, the child, and the anchor. He's dead, right? But I mean, he might as well be alive because people are still talking about him. We're still talking about him, and new stuff keeps surfacing over and over and over again. But that doesn't make him any less dead and sunk under the ground. The second card was the tree. Clarifiers are the key, the snake, and the ship. Hmm. The tree is the card for health. So it's in somebody's interest for us to think that he is healthy, doing well, alive, and that nefarious forces helped him get away. This narrative suits somebody's purpose. Absolutely, it distracts attention from where our attention should be, but it suits somebody's purpose for us to be running around like chickens with our heads cut off, asking, is he alive? Is he dead? Sun in the center. Clarifiers are the bouquet, clouds, and the bear. Again, yeah, I feel like so here we are starting to figure things out, starting to see what we couldn't see before in terms of this whole thing, how deep it goes, how wide it is, how many people are involved, how international a nature this thing is. Um, and that's good because Pluto and Aquarius let it all hang out so that things can be cleaned up and we can, you know, become better people. But look, clouds. Let's throw a couple of photographs in there that don't look like they're AI, but that look like they are unequivocally Epstein, just a little bit older and grayer and hairier. And let's place him in Israel to really confuse things, to screw things up. I don't even think this is the felon doing this, by the way. I don't think so. I think this is whoever seeks to control the narrative. And there are people and nation states all over the place who want to control this narrative, control us and our thinking. But these barriers to the truth that they have tried to erect, including, in my opinion, those photographs, will be eroded, will be eaten away. And I think justice will prevail, and the files will make clear what's what. I do think eventually we'll also see the another million or two that are being withheld from us. I also think that we'll see the redacted names of the perpetrators who, for whatever reason, their names have been redacted. So, um, what's done in the dark will come to the light. I think this stands for the women victims. Clarifiers are the lily, the rider, and the scythe. So I think in the end, all the nonsense will be cut through, and these women will get some satisfaction. It's the farthest line out, which tells us that it's not going to happen today, and it's not going to happen tomorrow. And all the things that have been hidden will be hacked into and accessed. Hacked with like hacked, and I don't mean like um, computer hacking. I mean all of the secrets that people are trying so hard to continue to hide. The box that they're in will be opened. So try as they might, um, the truth's going to come out. Massie, who is the um, Republican who has been championing the women, has said more than once that he knows the names of the unindicted co-conspirators. Today, he looked at the the he saw the information in the files that have been released, the information that had been redacted. He has now seen those names for himself. It's not just the victims telling him these names. And he says, um, I'm gonna out these people. Well, gonna out them and outing them is two different things. I know he is running for re-election. Listen, I would like to know Massie's motivations because I know why the women have not come forward with the names of these men. If there are non-disclosure agreements out there, and if women were compensated for their suffering in return for keeping silent, they really risk huge financial and legal penalties for naming names. So I get that. Plus, I'm sure they're scared. So I understand that. But Massie, who now has seen the names in the files, has said more than once prior to today that he would give out the names. Now, first of all, what are you waiting for? Like, do it. Why all these dangling, wolf tickets? Either do it or don't do it. But if you say you're going to do it, then do it. So I just want to know, what are his motives, Massie? This time we'll use the same man card because there's only one man card in here, older man card. We have the younger man card, but Massie's an older man. What are Massie's intentions in all of this? I hope they're good, but who knows? What are Massie's intentions? All right, well, good. I mean, this is good. We have the bouquet, we have the book, we have Massie, we have the garden, and we have the letter. I think his intentions are honorable and above board. Um, he's in the middle. The bouquet mirrors the book. I think that he feels that the files need to be um, given to the people. I think that things that have been hidden, he thinks need to be made public. So that's good. Uh, I guess the question I want to next ask is, um, will he name these names? I'm just drawing three cards. Will he name these names? Oops, I think he will. I think this is him just strong arming the situation and identifying the men on behalf of the women. So I think Massie will do that. You know, I'm always suspicious of both sides for a good reason. For example, there were complaints lodged with the DOJ and the FBI for years. I mean, since back in the 90s. So I guess my question is I'm going to dig into the past and look at Merrick Garland. Um, Merrick Garland, who um, didn't take the January 6thers to task like the next day after the inauguration. Like, why? Like, what could be worse than insurrection, trying to overthrow the government? And yet, why was that not the first order of business on Merrick Garland's plate when he got into office? Merrick Garland always looked sick to me, like emotionally fraught, like something was bothering him. Why, why didn't Merrick Garland act more forthrightly in regard to this Epstein situation? Let's let spirit pick all the cards. We have the letter, we have the tree, we have the anchor, the man, and the ship. I mean, I hate to say it, I just feel like the way that these women were treated has been the way that women have been treated by men, um, like forever, right? So I think that he thought, oh, these stories are old and let's just bury it. Let sleeping dogs lie. Let's just deep six it into the ocean because, boys will be boys. And so therefore let bygones be bygones and we'll just let it go. That's what I think. And I think that there are a lot of men who would just as soon this thing have been ignored. So, and I think that there are probably still men who think that today. So we know, I think I mentioned this the other day, that yesterday maybe, or the day before, I don't remember, that Bondi is testifying in front of a different committee Wednesday. So we have the day now. We know it's Wednesday. And we've been told that uh, the Republican senators told victims that Bondi's feet would be held to the fire in terms of how these files have been mishandled by her office. And then the victims were later told by an insider Republican that that's not what's going to happen, that Bondi will be given only softball questions, and that was on the order of the President of the United States. So we know, of course, that the Democrats will ask hard questions, but we've heard that the Republicans have been ordered not to. Now, it's been 24, 48 hours since I last looked at that question. I guess I want to know. What kind of questions will the Republicans ask Bondi? What kind of questions will she be asked? And I'm going to use the birds for the Republicans. What kind of questions will she be asked? So I know I already asked this question, but I want to look again. What kind of questions will the Republicans ask Bondi when she comes before the Senate on Wednesday? And we're looking for birds, and that will stand for the Republicans. Did I pass the card by accident? No. So this will be the Republican senators who will be asking, you know, the head of the DOJ about her job performance to date. And I want to know what kinds of questions Republicans will be asking her. So we have the dog, we have the letter, we have the birds, we have the young woman, and we have the bear. I think this is interesting. Uh, I think that any questions that she gets asked about the files will be friendly questions because this is the card for friends. The questions will be friendly. Um, any questions that they ask about the files, the women, and that will be because the narcissist in chief required that the questions that the Republicans ask be friendly. And so, they can proclaim that they're horrified by his racist memes, that they're horrified that he didn't invite Westmore to the lunch or the dinner or the whatever. But you know what? They are all birds of a feather, cut from the same cloth. Their protestations about the president's behavior are sound and fury, signifying nothing. And I think what I saw last time is what will happen, that she will be asked either softball questions or no questions at all about her handling of the files. That's what I think. So, after I just put my cards back all backwards and upside down, um, we do not look good as a country when it's all these other countries that are holding people to account for this situation. And we look like we are doing, relatively speaking, not very much. It's not a good look. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that between now and Wednesday, uh, Republicans find their courage, but I'm not going to hold my breath on that. Anyway, thank you so much for all your support of the channel, for your comments. I read them all, for your likes, your shares, your hypes, your thumbs up. Hit the notification bell if you'd like to be notified of when I'm going to do something next. Um, I may come on tomorrow. I may not. I know I will be writing on Substack, so go over there if you want to see my work there. And of course, Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, which is 9 p.m. Eastern, Lena and I will be doing our Worldview 360. And of course, there's a lot to talk about. I did say, I did, I just remembered. I did say I wanted to look at how the eclipse will affect the felon. Uh, he was born under an eclipse, and this is not, I, I don't think that this eclipse should be interpreted as a good omen for him. but you never know. And I just want to know, how will this eclipse affect him? I'm going to use the moon, I think, for the eclipse. Traditionally in Lenormand, that's not necessarily what you would use for an eclipse, but why not? So we will use the eclipse in, I think, Leo. And I think the felon's rising sign is Leo. My sun sign is Leo. I love Leos, but uh, let's just see how this eclipse will affect him. And we're going to use the moon instead of the man card. How will the eclipse affect the felon? It's, by the way, just so you know, um, at least here in this hemisphere, part of the world, it's going to be February 17th. So that's next Thursday, I think. Let me see. Um, no, that's a week from tomorrow. So it's a Tuesday, and it's the lunar eclipse that will be in Leo. And I want to know now, the eclipse, by the way. I mean, it's that day, but the energy of the eclipse can be felt before and for several weeks after. So, is there anything coming for the felon that will have been precipitated by the eclipse energy? That's what we're looking for. Okay, and this will be the last question. Okay. Okay, so this stands for the eclipse on the 17th. So we have the star, a house, the moon, it stands for the eclipse on the 17th, clouds, and then birds. So I think there'll be a lot of buzz, a lot of talk about the future of the White House, which will be in doubt. I mean, that's the large story. So I drew clarifiers on everything. So here we have the star, and clarifiers are tower, stork, and garden. So again, this here is hope for the future. If you read tarot, you should notice that this tower card, unlike the tarot tower, is intact, not in danger of falling down or being on fire or anything like this. So this really speaks to, if the star is the future, future stability, positive change. And again, I can mirror the garden with the star. I think that this is a good omen for the public, for the people. Um, and of course, if it's a good omen for the people, it's not a good omen for you know who. So here we have the house, and the clarifiers are the mice, the scales, and the woman. I think that the inhabitant of the White House is going to become more and more afraid of the justice that's coming for him at the hands of women. In the center, we have the um, the eclipse. Oh, and look who shows up, person that we're asking about. And then we have the heart and the key. Now, the key is normally a good card, but I really do think that cardiac issues are at the forefront of what's going on with him, and that they could be exacerbated by the eclipse. Fourth card is clouds. Clarifiers are the rider, the mountain, and the fish. I think this is also ill health. I mean, clouds can be his cognition, his dementia kicking in. Rider, this is news coming in, right? And part of news means communicating, the way that you communicate. And I think we will not be told much. This is about circulation. Uh, Clouds together with um, fish make me feel like some sort of circulatory thing that could be um, brain related. And then we have the birds, and the clarifiers are the sun, clover, and then the letter. So I don't know where, there may be more conversation by the time of the eclipse about the fact that it's very, very clear that something needs to be done sooner rather than later. This could be, I don't know, 25th Amendment. This could be impeachment. But I like the fact that the very first line spoke to a future that was positive, not for him, but positive for us. I think his health issues will be exacerbated around the eclipse. And remember that that energy can happen before the eclipse and several weeks past the eclipse. So we'll just keep an eye on his health um, and on the conversations that are being had about him, particularly by Republicans, because remember that they are in the majority. Nobody can declare the 25th Amendment. Nobody can really push impeachment forward without the agreement of the Republicans. And listen, as I said, um, the monkey meme or Westmore's non-invitation or whatever, none of that is going to be a deal breaker for the Republicans. So maybe there is something out there that will be a deal breaker. So pray for an auspicious eclipse for us and an inauspicious one for you know who. Anyway, that's it. So I will definitely see you Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific. Um, if I don't see you tomorrow, and have a great rest of your night. Take care.